Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside quarantine episodes. Joining me this evening is Erik, also known as Beer Guy MTL.
Cheers.
Cheers. What are you enjoying on the episode with us tonight?
I'm having the Ayersville Pale Ale from Sir John.
I've got, my light's a little bright, Gold Digger from
Nice.
Labrosse. Troy's a good guy. He was my first interview, so I'll always give them a shout out.
I like Troy. Really nice guy.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the beer story? What brought you to craft beer?
Yeah. So my girlfriend was on a cooking show in Quebec. And so she needed to find some meat for her show. So we found a butcher shop not too far from our place. In the basement of the butcher shop is a store called Glacière de l'Est.
Okay.
In the East End. And that's it. They have a beer store in the basement of the butcher shop. So took it the time, went in there, chose a few beers, and never looked back. That was the first story. The second one is my girlfriend was living in New York, and she had a beer store a couple doors down from her apartment. And so that helped me discover. Then what was nice is they had stuff from all over the country. So every time I'd go, I'd pick 5-6 beers and try different stuff. And it was just trying the beer that kind of got me into it.
Okay.
And,
And you shifted from, I'm assuming you used to start on macro like the rest of us did.
Yes, I started macro and I got so tired of it. And for like a year, I was going drinking wines. I was done. I couldn't drink beer anymore until I found some of this stuff, So discovering that we had such a vast selection in Quebec was really what changed everything.
And what were a couple of those first few that really brought you into like, this is the beer I'm having from now on, I'm sticking to?
The actual first one I could say would be the milk stout from Microbrasserie Charlevoix, the Vache Folle.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the first one, and that was like, wow. Yeah, and it was also like it's going back like 5 years now, 4 or 5 years, and it's going back to right before they started with all the like East Coast IPAs in Quebec, right? So it was a few months before like Vox Populi got started and started coming out with those IPAs, and from then on it's just gotten so much better. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, no, the craft beer expansion in the Montreal, Quebec area has been fantastic. I'm very impressed. The only place that really has us beat is Ontario. I mean, the government literally has a booklet saying, here's how you start a craft brewery in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
So we're close. We have a little more red tape because of where we live, but
in terms of how to get started, I would say yes. Quality, I still think we beat them. Just it's I don't know. Quebec has such a, like I always call it, the beer culture instead of a beer scene in Quebec, because it's been around for a very long time. You take like Dieu du Ciel, even like Pit Caribou, some of these guys that have been there for a long, long time. Even Boreal, Saint Ambroise.
Yeah, I think it's the Golden Lion out in formerly Lennoxville, but now at the Sherbrooke area.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're one of the first, and then Cheval Blanc before they sold to Brasserie. They're, one of the old school craft beer scene here. So Beer Guy MTL, what made you decide that?
Again, when I started the page, now I think it's going to be 5 years since I started it. And when I did start it, there weren't too many things on Instagram. And so I just wanted it to be simple. I wanted it to be easy to find. And I wanted to be certain that it was Montreal, And so that's it. It was just simple, something that stuck, easy to remember.
Yeah, I noticed on your videos you have, a variety like wine, #beer. And your main one, Messorem, which, they're not even a year old yet.
I know, it's crazy.
They're super popular. I'm very happy I live very close. I actually accidentally discovered it because I was drinking at St. Ambroise And I'm like, oh, I don't want to walk all the way to Four Origins. So I go on my phone and it's like, this brand new brewery. I'm like, oh, sweet. It's like, yeah, we're not open yet, dude. I'm like, no, why aren't you open yet? I want to drink now.
Their
So
marketing was incredible getting started. So good. The logo, the colors, everything is just wow.
yeah, plus it's a very Brooklyn style scene. I
Yeah,
find in the brewery. It's the guys definitely know what they're doing because they're selling out left, right, and center. So
yeah. That today it was like less than an hour they sold out both cans.
hmm
So
yeah,
always.
yeah, they definitely know what they're doing. And for those listening who are not based in Montreal, who are visiting, uh, contact an Instagrammer and we'll drag you there. So
Yeah,
yeah. So
well said.
what are the inspirations and styles behind your photography? What makes you decide like this is the shot I want, this is the lighting I need?
I'm not sure. I just take the picture and whatever looks nice. I like getting good lighting. I obviously prefer taking pictures with like the actual daylight. I like scenery as much as I can get. It's very simple. I just like taking as nice a picture as I can. I don't know much about photography, but I'm still learning, and it's that's about it.
Just a pastime, something to
Yeah,
yeah.
like I try to read stuff about it to learn more, but I definitely have passion for it. I don't know much about it.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, every pour is in a nice, clean, new glass.
No,
Very
I
nice.
try to it's I try to put the beer front and center always. That's what it's about. It's keep it simple.
Cool. And
Look good.
some of your favorite beers that are coming out of Quebec right now. What would you say? Or
Oh
some of your
well,
favorite breweries, I should say.
yeah. If I had to go with breweries, especially like IPAs, it's Sir John, BreWskey, and Messorem in the area because obviously you want to support local right now.
Yes.
So those are the three I kind of go for the most. Um, if I had to say favorite breweries altogether, it would probably be like Pit Caribou, old school Pit Caribou. Their farmhouse stuff, the wild ales, the saisons, which they haven't had too much of lately in the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
Dunham is there for sure. Yeah, Messorem though right now is amazing, and Brewski is always a favorite. I love those guys.
Any of the newer breweries you haven't had a chance to try yet, like a place like Nolt and Co. or any of those? Have you thought about giving those guys a shot? Or
I've thought about it for sure. It's just I know there's some cans and stuff available. I try not to buy too much now because I have a lot in my fridge already that I'm trying to get through. But when it's all over, I'd love to go out there and visit them for sure.
yeah, definitely. Nick is a super chill dude, so if he's
Yeah,
working that day, definitely check him out.
sweet.
And we interviewed them, and they're both spectacular. Him and his chef. So if he has the time, he'll sit down, hang out with you, and talk beer
Awesome.
and food.
Yeah, I want to go there for sure. I've seen their page and everything, so it's on the list.
Yeah, there's a lot on the list, and
Yeah,
while we're all staying home and staying safe, we can plan stuff for the future.
yeah.
Try and stay positive. Like I'm still planning on going to Vermont. I'm still planning on going to Toronto. So it's just gotta try and stay
Those,
positive. And
yeah, those are hopefully the easier ones because they're right here. So, but we still have to wait it out.
yeah, exactly. Do
I
you
miss
brew?
Vermont.
Yeah, do you brew yourself or?
No, not yet. I'm looking to get into it eventually, but not yet.
Yeah, it's a lot of cleaning, which is not a passion of mine in any way.
Yeah.
So. So you've
Uh,
had the Beer Guy MTL for 5 years. You have 15,000 plus followers. Have you ever talked to a brewery about brewing a Beer Guy MTL beer as like a branded beer?
uh, there's been stuff, but not really. Like, we've talked more about the possibility of doing it as a group with the Beer Brothers. So that possibly coming soon.
Okay, and the Beer Brothers, what are those?
So it started off with me and Anthony, Mr. Crafty, and we just like found kind of a funny thing to do. It was kind of an inside joke, and we turned it into a page, and uh, right now it's kind of inactive, but we always wanted to do something with it. So we kind of created it just for the name. And yeah, it just kind of turned into something fun. And now we have an Instagram group that, we're a bunch of guys who talk a lot. Basically, we talk every day. There's guys like Daryl, Hippity Hopness, Zach, who you had not too long ago, Mr. Crafty, Marty and the Craft Beers, a bunch of guys. Kaiser is there too.
Okay, yeah, Hop Citizen, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it's kind of like an influencer collective when you think about it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a way for us to, talk. Like I said, we keep in touch. We talk every day. There's also Hop Fiction Glassware. He's in our group as well. Jared's a really nice guy.
Yeah, I've seen some of his glassware. I'm gonna have to have him as a future interview of where those
he's a good interview. His we met because I followed his cooking page, No Room for Dessert, and we started talking, and he got more into beer by following my page, and it was really fun getting to know each other that way.
So I mentioned the collabs. Now I see on your Beer Brothers 121 breweries. Is that all over North America, or is that including?
That's actually including USA and Germany. I went to a few in Germany too.
And as a beercation or as a vacation, and then
no, I was there for work, but I was there for like a month. So on weekends, I went to a few places.
Yeah, I got to get a job where I get to go to Germany because that sounds fantastic. And how was that shift of craft? Because all I ever hear really of Germany is like I'll watch a beer fest, and it's it's your biggest breweries. They only show kind of like five big guys that they talk about.
It depends where you are, right? If you're in Munich, obviously you're getting all the big name places, Berlin, big name places, and now there's more craft into the culture over there. But it's really weird being over there. If you're doing craft, you'll have some people who love it, and then the other people look at you like, well, what are you doing? But going through the small towns and stuff, it's really nice because it's all like local breweries. They basically supply the town and the surrounding areas, and it's family run breweries. They make classic style beers because again, they have to in Germany. The laws, the purity laws over there for the beer. So it's interesting. Good beer though, good classic style beer. The Pilsners are amazing. The Hefeweizens are amazing.
Great. Yeah, I saw something on the news today where there was a German brewery that had to give away something like 500 bottles of beer because purity laws. You don't pasteurize. You don't throw junk in your beer. It's your four. So they're like, we're giving away the beer on tips basically, and the tips are going to go to the workers that I've had to lay off because everybody's in this right now, and we are doing what we can. Myself and you and other people I know in the craft beer drinking industry are supporting local
big time.
Like I drove up to Peluso the other day just to see what it was like trying to get an Oval since I haven't had an Oval in months. And my father, who was 75 and he was Labatt 50 forever, I've given him some IPAs from certain places, and he's like, "Oh my God, I didn't know beer could taste like this."
Exactly.
Like my brother-in-law, he lives out in Cambridge, Ontario, and I dragged him out for a beer venture when I was out there, and he looked at me and said, "If I can't go back to drinking my Coors, I'm going to punch you in the face." Because I'm like,
I've seen that too. Yeah.
But it's good, like help support local.
You'll get them eventually.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. You always get them somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, because coming out of this, no matter what, Labatt or InBev, I should say, and Molson, they've lost some market share, but they're going to survive.
Oh, of course.
And
they're too big not to.
Yeah, and guys like me and you want our local beers to survive as well, and that's why we need to buy them now. I'm a big proponent. I know in Ontario, I think it's the rest of Canada too, the breweries can deliver.
I don't know about where. I know in Ontario they can, but it's still rather new.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple years or so, maybe. But yeah, no, we need that here. It's crazy.
Yeah, Quebec desperately needs
Yeah,
to talk, and we need to break the beer border barriers. Like you said, you were in New York and you got beers from, I'm guessing, like Texas and California, and
yeah. It was like the earlier times, right? In like today's craft beer industry. So I remember getting beers from Pennsylvania, a lot of them from New York, Maine, Colorado, probably.
mhm.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot. Vermont. I know the store that I got those beers, they get a lot of stuff from Vermont, from up in New England, and there's just so many breweries all the time in the States. They get stuff from all over.
Yeah, Vermont's got 50. No, I think they're almost up to. I think they're up to 60 now. So there's one brewery per thousand, or 1 point so many people. It's amazing, and as being as Montrealers, we're only a 2 hour drive away from
Yeah,
some of the best beer in North America.
it's definitely one of my favorite places to go is Vermont. But like, and then talking to people up there, you always try and convince them to come here. That's one thing I love,
Yeah.
getting people here.
So speaking of Vermont, have you done a full beercation, as I like to call them, where you've gone for
Many
like?
many times
Okay.
over there. Yeah, I try to go at least once a year, sometimes twice. We love going to Vermont. It's so much fun.
Any?
Uh,
I'm assuming, besides Hill Farmstead, which every Montrealer I know talks about,
yeah,
what are some of your other favorite breweries out of Vermont?
home obviously. BBCO. I love going to Prohibition Pig
Hmm.
in Waterbury and grabbing like some crowlers to take home. They make some like awesome classic Vermont style IPAs. When everyone's going to the typical new wave New England stuff, it's nice to be able to get the classic Vermont styles. Uh, so I like Prohibition Pig a lot, and I love the food too. There's a great restaurant not far from them. Ever hear of Hen of the Wood?
I have not actually, because when I was there, so I tried to hit Prohibition Pig.
Yeah.
They're like, even just like sitting at the bar an hour, I'm like, okay. So I think it was Bar Hop or Barfly across the street.
Okay.
I went there, fantastic beer selection,
Hmm.
all Vermont beer, and then I finally went to Prohibition Pig and then had a bunch of beers.
Yeah. So Hen of the Wood has a restaurant in Burlington, and then they have another restaurant on a farm in Waterbury. And I haven't been to the one in Waterbury yet because we couldn't get a reservation. But the one in Burlington is amazing. This is one of the reasons I love Burlington or just Vermont in general is everywhere you go, you have craft beer on tap.
Yeah, no,
And
I
it's
I
just amazing.
I absolutely love it. There, it's called the Archives. I think it's called the Archives, but it's a barcade,
Okay.
and like 25 different craft beer on tap,
Nice.
and
Amazing.
old school video games like NBA Jam 99, NFL
Hmm.
Blitz, pinball machines. I'm like, well, here goes $200 that I didn't think I would spend on old school video games, and then they're like, oh no, the games are a quarter each. I'm like, what? Like I'm used to $1 plus. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Once things are back to normal, any future beercations that you'd like to go on?
Uh, there's so many. See, the thing is, I love food, I love coffee, and as much as I love beer. So I try and combine the three of those things. And so I think a place on my list to go back to is Nashville. Um, I just love it. The southern food over there, Nashville hot chicken is insane. It's so good. And I missed out on Bearded Iris when I was there. I didn't know about them yet, so
Okay.
I gotta go back for that. Other than that, there's the typical ones, the Colorado, the California, for sure. New York City is always one of the good ones. But I think we're spoiled in Montreal, so I'm happy that we live here and that we have so much to show.
Yeah, plus we got like 4 or 5 festivals per year when it comes to
Yeah.
beer and such. So
But even like we have so many hidden gems in the city, you know, like Harry is amazing.
mhm.
Uh, there's a reservoir. There's just so many great places. BreWskey, I love going to BreWskey. The food, the beer, everything's always great. They're so like hell bent on putting quality stuff out there. You know, it's so important, and they do a really good job.
Yeah, Zach, Derek, and Guillaume are killing it
Yeah,
right
they're
now
amazing.
at Pub Brewski, and I was going when they were just the upstairs part.
Yeah,
So it's
me
like,
too.
here's our beer and here's our whiskeys, and I'm like, oh, and now I'm happy because I enjoy both.
Yeah, and just I think one of the reasons I have the again I wanted my name to be easy to find because I love just telling people come to Montreal, you won't regret it. And so I love to give people suggestions when they come to town and for beer, food, anything.
You mentioned Nashville. Now, I had a friend who had gone to Nashville for business, and he said basically the party town is just like a giant L. Is that right?
Pretty much, yeah. If I'm thinking about it, uh, yeah, pretty much. It's I'm trying to think of the L. I know there's the main street, Broadway, I think, but yeah, there's really not much. It's pretty small, but
Uh,
it was great. There's really good food. The beer is good, and again, it's one of those places where you can find local beer everywhere you go. It might not all be excellent, but it's there.
yeah, no, I mean it's the same anywhere you go now. It's not like you just have your big three
Hmm.
anymore, or your big three and your imports, which are technically owned by the big three when
Yeah,
you think about it.
but
It's
it's tough in Montreal because we got Molson, right? So they kind of they literally have that monopoly. And they go to restaurants and they say, well, you can only serve our stuff. So it's unfortunate, and that's one of the reasons why Vermont is great because they don't have that big guy in town, And
yeah,
there's
I
no
mean,
influence.
yeah, you still have your university students, I'm sure, that are pounding back Pabst and stuff like that, but
Oh, for sure, yeah.
it's
But I mean, you go to the restaurants and stuff, and the craft beer, the local stuff is mentioned before the other stuff. So,
yeah, and that's a shift in the culture that we need to have here. But
mhm.
Molson also does. I will give them one thing: they do have the 6 pints division where they are buying, but letting these guys stay on their own and just
Yeah,
kind of giving them a
and
distribution channel. So
it was smart on their part. They figured out that if they want to be successful with what they buy up, they would have to do it that way. So it's good for sure.
yeah, I used to have at my former employer, one of my coworkers, his sister-in-law works for the one of the biggest breweries in Mexico, and they go around and they just straight up buy these guys. They're like, we don't want the competition. Here's money, go
Yeah,
away. So, there's
not surprising.
these big guys are becoming scared because people want taste in their beers now.
Yeah,
I it's very very difficult for me to drink. If I'm at a game or something, not a problem. I'm pounding back a Molson Canadian. There's no issue
okay.
about it.
See, I can't do it.
It's
I can't do it. The last time I drank a macro like that, it was a Budweiser, and I was at a Montreal Impact game like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I couldn't finish it. I started feeling sick. I couldn't do it.
yeah. So I went to a couple of Alouettes games on the Fridays this summer, and they had a $5 Bud nights. So I just
Hmm.
pounded back a bunch of Bud Lights. I'm like, I don't care. They're cheap beers. They're $5 beers at a stadium instead of $12.
Yeah,
You give up taste buds for being cheap. So
yeah.
sometimes it's
I
not
learned
like
I learned a few years ago you got to go to whatever craft you can find before going to the game and drink it out before.
so what's next for Beer Guy MTL? I mean, you have a significant amount of followers. How you bringing that to bigger and better numbers?
There's I don't know. There's a lot of ideas in the works. There's no immediate plans. Just keep drinking beer, taking nice pictures, and see where it goes. And I don't really have anything of note to mention.
Yeah. Cool. As I've already mentioned to a bunch of other influencers like yourself, when stuff gets settled out and we can all hang out again, I'd love to talk to kind of get an idea of where everybody is in town and just get together and just have a night at a brew pub or a brewery where we just hang out and drink and talk beer stories. I'm sure you'd be up for it. I'm sure you could drag some
Oh
people
yeah,
along. So
for sure.
we'll keep all that in the loop. I have you on Instagram, so I look
Yeah.
forward to the pictures and more so. Now, I have no other questions for you at this time.
Thanks for this. It was
Yeah,
fun.
no, it's great, and I love conversing with people like yourself who are huge or love the craft industry, and I can hear the passion behind your voice of how it is for you. So that's
Yeah,
great.
that's what it is, right? It's all about the people you meet and drinking good beer, helping local, and that's what it's about.
Excellent. So let the viewers know where they could find you and where they can add you on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you let people follow you.
It's at Beer Guy MTL on everything. That's it.
Perfect. And so
Yeah,
I'll add all that in the show notes. So
awesome.
and it'll be in the links in the notes of the episode. As for us, subscribe and likes always helps the show get more visual. At All Beer Inside everywhere, even on Untappd, you could follow All Beer Inside on Untappd. As for myself, Killer Carpe Diem on Untappd, if you'd like to follow me. On the website, allbeerinside.com, where we have our R-rated show. On the right-hand side of the page, there is an Amazon.ca link. Jeff Bezos has enough money. You can help us out by getting some of his money, and that allows us to buy equipment so we can record episodes like this with Erik. And as I say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap.